So, thank you, sir, for being a part of this show. And it's really an honor and a privilege to have you on this show. And thank you for taking out your time. And actually, I know that this is going to be fun. It's going to bring out a lot of things that parents will really enjoy. And parents out there, make notes if you want to listen as carefully as you can. वो कहते हैं दो कान हैं, दोनों को पूरा use करना है. And let's dive into the show. Parents out there and parents all across, you meet parents, I get to meet parents. You know that, I know that all the parents have this thing कि हमारे जो बच्चे हैं ये ना कि बहुत successful बने, they should be good human beings, they should be really successful. Now, success is a very broad term, right? Now, so before we get into how they become successful, I would want to take your take on what does success look like to you? What does it mean to you? Because it's a very, very broad term. Some people look at it financially, some people look at it in some other way. What would be your take?
See, I would say if you can see life as it is, and if you can deal with situation of life in a very calm, composed manner, I think you are a success. Many times we teach alpha, beta, gamma, physics, chemistry, and everything to our children. But somehow we forget to teach them how to live. We teach them how to earn, but we forget to teach them how to live. So incidentally, if we include that ingredient in our serving to these children, I think it's going to go a long way. When we go to offices, when we go to our businesses, when we deal with situations of life, then very less probability that physics can save us or mathematics. But there is most probability that your outlook, how you look at situations, how you look at problems, might give you an edge of the others.
Wow, that's a brilliant input out there. All the parents out there, I love the way when you said, alpha, beta, gamma, physics, maths, chemistry, and so all the parents out there were after, big time after academics. Not to say that it's not crucial, very crucial. And I picked up something from what you said earlier, that academics is the heart, while the other scholastics, they are equally vital organs in the whole system.
Absolutely.
Now, living life and seeing life the way it is, that in itself is a very, very crucial lens that a parent can have. And if our kids can pick up and look at life the way it is, not better, not worse, I think that probably defines success. So I'm very sure that this gives you a very, very different spectrum to look at what success is. And yet another point I picked up from you is that if our kids can, you spoke about earning, and I know that you might be smiling. Yes, it is crucial to earn, yet at the same time, it is more crucial, if I may use the word more, to learn how to live and deal with life, because life is going to come our way without any announcements. So
absolutely.
I'm sure that's what you said. So
absolutely.
It's coming from a very, 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 very seasoned educator, and somebody who's seen it all, somebody who has seen kids, teachers, and parents very closely and has seen success in a very different domain altogether. And it's coming from him that your ability, your child's ability to deal with life is going to be looked at, being successful. Right. So you've had a great journey. We were talking about your journey earlier, and you also spoke about the fact that you always had this within you that you wanted to be a teacher. Now, my journey is more of was a chance journey and not a choice journey. Your turns out to be a choice journey. Now, you started your journey, and then today you lead and you from the forefront. You drive Gurukul The School, a school renowned across the country, perhaps across the geography. So I'm diving deep into something which is a little personal. So parents out there, you should also understand that what does it take on a person's part to actually manage all the challenges and then rise above, because eventually आप भी तो यही देख रहे हो कि हमारे बच्चे जो हैं because challenges आएंगे. We are not in a, this is not a Aladdin's lamp over a world नहीं है कि कोई challenge आया तो हमने lamp चलाया and then we are rubbing the lamp and the challenges go away. As you said that your kids will have to deal with the challenges, and I'm sure you had your own share of challenges. So what are your principles of success? What are some factors that helped you in becoming successful?
See, as I stated earlier, that we need to teach our children to be positive. Now, although positive is the most negative word of 2021, any which ways, any which ways, it's about how you look. For instance, I remember reading a quote or reading a small story. The story goes like this: there was a boy and graduated recently, had his first job interview. And when he was going for a job interview, he picked up a friend, a very close one.
Right.
That's what we generally do. We don't go alone.
True.
And when they were walking, and he had the best suit, tie and well dressed, when he was walking, a crow did a dropping on his brand new coat.
Okay.
And he was going for an interview.
That would have been a terrible situation in his head.
He looked at the dropping, he looked up, and he said, "Thank God." Now the other man who was walking along, he said, "Thank God? Are you serious? For what? Thank God for what?"
Yeah.
He said, "Thank God, elephants don't fly." So, how to deal with a particular situation? Now he is in a very provoking situation at that point of time.
I can imagine.
But then, how positive he takes life. How beautifully he handled the situation, which could have been a situation of crisis. The way he handled it. So that story gives me a lot of strength. It's not situations that can shake a man. It's his vulnerability to deal with the situation that shakes him.
That's powerful. So I'll probably hold you there because I don't want to lose on the gem. And I don't want all the parents also to lose out on the gem. And let me see if my admins work pretty well. So what's coming our way is that it's not a challenge that shakes up a man. And you can correct me if I go wrong. It's not a challenge that shakes up a man. It's his inability to deal with that challenge that shakes him or her up.
Absolutely.
My elements are working fine.
Absolutely.
That's a powerful one.
So when you are positive and you find some goodness in anything that happens across, I think that is the spark. That is something that is needed in a human to move forward. Because this world will offer challenges and challenges and challenges. People don't treat them as challenge. Now when we teach our children how to be very positive, challenges are obstacles, alright. But then, am I strong enough either to pass them, surpass them, or पतली गली से अपना रास्ता बना के निकल जाऊं? अगर हम ये सिखाएं, मुझे लगता है सबसे पॉजिटिव चीज़ है। और हमारी ज़िंदगी में भी बहुत challenges आए। ऐसा नहीं, you said teacher by choice. Yes, मैंने इसे चुना। काफी challenges थे, parents नहीं मानते थे, especially जब academic background strong हो, they wanted me to do something else, they wanted me to do this, that, whatever, Indian parents.
And I also know that you also cracked CAT. Now, 95% of the parents, whose kids would eventually end up cracking CAT, they would probably be the happiest. But you cracked CAT, and then despite that, you still chose that no, CAT is one side. I think this is my thing.
I always believe either be convinced or convince others.
Makes sense.
So in my case, I could convince my parents. So I sat with them for hours. I told them my point of view, and I know it was very difficult, especially 20-25 years back. It was a little difficult. But then when the house is full of positivity and people are open, and you discuss and you discuss and you discuss and you choose right words for communication.
It's crucial.
And you use the right words for communication, you can make a mark. तो ये बहुत ज़रूरी है कि आप अपने बच्चों से वो डिस्कशन करो जो ज़रूरी है, वो डिस्कशन ना करो जो ज़रूरी नहीं है। जो जरूरी नहीं है उनमें उन्हीं की बात रखो, लेकिन जो जरूरी है उसमें डिस्कशंस करके कुछ निकालो.
That's a great point coming. So मैं किसको I'll probably put it in yet another way, which you had beautifully put it. Sometimes what happens is that, and नाराज नहीं होना मेरे साथ. This is the reality because he sees it, I see it, we see it, all our life. Sometimes a parent ends up saying, it's my way or the highway. It's as simple as that, and the word to pick up, the $1 million word to pick up in the conversation is discussion. So discussion is a two-way process, right? And so your discussion led to a certain decision within the family already. Of course, it would have not been easy. I'm sure on that.
Yeah.
And but had the discussion not happened, it would have been a different situation. And you said that, I also picked up that you said that there has been a positive culture, a positive environment. Now, that's so that also. Now, they say that there's a research which says that a human being on an average gets about 60,000 thoughts a day. Now, that's not my research, it's a general research available. And they say that about 77% thoughts that we get, they're either negative or they're non-supportive, maybe neutral or negative. They do not really support. So what we are left with is only about 23% that I feel is even on the higher side given today's circumstances.
Yes.
And if you as a parent can provide positive environment and also people who said that जो आप जैसे आप words use करोगे, you got to be careful.
You have to be very prudent. You have to be very prudent in discussions.
Which also the words and how you are presenting them. So जब हम कई बार कहते हैं ना, so I remember my days and you would see PTMs होती थी and then parents would say and the teacher would raise some complaint कि बच्चे ने ये किया है, and then the parent is standing there in front of 40 kids and the parent is saying नालायक तू आज घर चल, आज मैं तेरे को ठीक करता हूँ, right? So one of the days, if you do that today, if 5 years back, you know it more than I do, and so positivity is something that definitely helped. But then there would have been some grit wherein you decided कि मुझे यही करना है. Now today you are here. So what else went into it?
See, I tell you, parenting is a skill.
Sure.
Even childhood is a skill. So probably we talk about parenting,
Correct.
and we all know it's a skill. For instance, if somebody is a lawyer, he goes to a law school to get a degree.
Yes.
I'm a lawyer.
Yes.
Somebody is an engineer, he goes to an engineering school to get a degree of an engineer. Same with the doctor.
True.
But in order to become a parent, where is the training? We become parent just like that. And then we end up using solutions or picking up solutions with a hit and trial method.
Yes.
And we start, probably sometimes it hits, sometimes it fails, and sometimes we ask our friend, तूने इसमें क्या किया था, तेरा बच्चा जब इतना था, और हम उसका आइडिया फिर हम अपनी लाइफ में यूज करते हैं. It's a skill. And if it is a skill, it can be acquired. तो अगर हमने वो स्किल एक्वायर नहीं की, तो हमारी probability of becoming a good parent or a not so good parent is 50-50. लेकिन अगर हम इसको सोचने लगे, ठीक लोगों से डिस्कस करने लगे, get the right kind of people on board, talk to them, discuss with them again, you end up getting so many skills that when your child acts or responds in a certain manner, you know how to handle it. Now, probably my parents were pretty good. They could understand. I never know that they have been trained or not, but probably 50% probability to hey.
I'm sure if they watch this, they'll be happy.
I'll make sure that they watch. Make sure that they watch. Anyways, so that positivity, that environment, which my parents also cultivated, they listened. And then I also was determined. That's another skill that I would wish my children to have. One is the positive outlook and being determined. Only positivity will not do much. You have an outlook, But then you have a good idea, you have a very positive outlook, but you're not transforming it into an action. It is merely occupying a neuron.
Correct. Correct.
And that's it.
Correct.
It has to be then implemented.
Correct.
Now, implementation will happen only if you have the ability to be determined, if you're persevere, if you're assertive, and in a very positive sense. Life, as it says, it brings challenges to you. If you're not determined enough to overcome, just like all rivers,
Yes.
they are determined to reach ocean.
That's powerful.
They're determined to reach ocean. Sometimes nothing stops them. Either they surpass a small cliff or a rock, or they move their way, but they reach ocean. That's called determination. अगर हम अपने बच्चों को ये भी सिखा पाए कि बच्चों अगर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन एबिलिटी है, पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव में डिफरेंशिएट कर सकते हो, तो पॉजिटिविटी पे दृढ़ रहो, पॉजिटिविटी पे डिटरमिन्ड रहो. ये दुनिया जितनी भी नेगेटिव हो, they say one man with the courage makes the majority. So if you are powerful, if you are determined, you know what you're doing is correct, people will follow you.
I think that's gem of a lesson coming out, and for me also it's a good learning. And so I'll probably recap because मुझे ना अपने बदामों का भी ध्यान रखना है, are they serving well or not. So one of the things that I picked up from you is that while positivity is very crucial, but then determination and positivity becomes, एक और 11, that's the real combination. Otherwise it becomes like, नए साल, the gym membership, they go through the roof and people close their eyes and they imagine, I'm going to have a six-pack abs, only thinking about it, but then no action towards it does not really solve the purpose. So action is required. Second I picked up is, don't give up, find your way. Find your way and be determined. So I think in the whole scenario, what I'm also picking up is that does your child look up to you as somebody who is positive, one, and determined, because you spoke about neurons, so you know that I know that kids' neurons, subconsciously they pick up the behavior of their surroundings. So अगर बच्चा देखेगा कि parent positive है and parent determined है, so I think it's going to be a trickle down effect. If I'm not mistaken,
Absolutely.
It's going to be a trickle down effect. So again, crucial point out there. Parents are the mark हो रही है. So parents are, I see that. And then we also spoke about if you want to become an engineer, we got a course, and if you want to become a lawyer, we got a course. But then you become a parent, you can become a parent, no course required. And they say that in our country and across the world we have everything right from manufacturing a pin to manufacturing a plane. But when it comes to learning and something about parenting, nothing. We are on hidden trial, and nothing wrong. But if a mistake happens in the whole process of hit and trial, sometimes that mistake is irreversible. And I think that's where you said that the need for parents to be conscious about how they are doing it comes in handy. So ये आपके बारे में बात हो रही है कि while you have a kid, you are a parent, but your ability to be into that process consciously is the word, that is going to serve the purpose. I think I've covered
Absolutely.
What you said. And now that we're talking to parents, and everybody has very different ideas on the whole process. So if you have to give your top 3 ideas to all the parents, so let's say through this lens, we have the world of parents behind this lens. What will be your top 3 ideas for the parents?
See, I think I've already discussed a few of them. That when you deal with your children, treat them as humans first. They are not people or person who are made so that you can live through them. They are unique individuals.
Their own identity.
They have their own identity. कई बार हम बच्चों के जरिए अपनी जिंदगी जीना चाहते हैं. बहुत बार पेरेंट्स मुझसे आके कहते हैं कि सर जो मैं नहीं कर पाया मैं वो इससे कराना चाहता हूँ. ऐसा ना हो कि ये बच्चा भी अपने बच्चों को ये कह रहा हो.
I'm going to hold you on that. that's pretty hard. It's very hard. I've heard this statement, and what he's saying is that parents, when they come to him, they probably pour their heart out and they say, जो हम नहीं कर पाए वो हमारा बच्चा करे. But the goal is in the latter statement. कि कहीं ऐसा ना हो जाए कि वो बच्चा भी आके यही बात बोले about their grandkids and so on and so forth. That can be, I'm using a strong word, that can be a tragedy. If that happens, that's next to a tragedy. That happens. So don't live, you should not be living your dreams through your kids. They have their own identity. That's very powerful.
So that's first thing that we must accept. They are humans, they are individuals, and they have their own likings and dislikings. Second thing is, be very positive with them. Discuss with them. They have a cause in whatever they are saying and doing. Don't react on what they say and do. Find out the cause behind why they are reacting or doing something.
Don't stick to the surface.
Don't stick to the
like
surface.
You can see.
उनके पास अपने reasons हैं. मैं कई बार जब बच्चों से बात करता हूँ तो बहुत डीप 2-4 प्रश्नों के बाद जब वहाँ पहुँचता हूँ तो वहाँ मुझे पता लगता है कि इनके बड़े स्ट्रॉन्ग रीजंस हैं वो करने के जो ये कर रहे हैं. तो मुझे सरफेस पे नहीं उनके रीजंस पे काम करना है. जब हम उनके वो रीजंस बदल देते हैं somehow तो बच्चे भी बदल जाते हैं. तो प्रॉब्लम ये है कि हमें विचारधारा बदलनी है. धारा बदलना आसान है. सेना की एक टुकड़ी को बुलाओ नदी की धारा बदल देते. विचारधारा बदलना बड़ा मुश्किल काम है. उसमें समय भी लगता है, मेहनत भी लगता है. So as parents, we must try to think and to dwell deep in what is the thought process of my child. Very important. हालांकि उसे बनाने में बिगाड़ने में कुछ हम लोगों का सबका सहयोग है, लेकिन फिर भी सोचना है कि कहाँ से वो सोच आ रही है. Very important. तभी बदल पाओगे. नहीं तो फ्रस्ट्रेट हो जाओगे. ये क्यों नहीं कर रहा जैसा मैं कह रहा हूँ. और वो बच्चा भी थोड़े दिन के लिए आर्टिफिशियली करेगा, लेकिन क्योंकि बिहेवियर नहीं बदला है तो वो बहुत दिन तक बदलाव नहीं दिखता. फिर वो लगता है फिर वापस आ गया. तो अगर आप सच्ची में बदलाव लाना चाहते हो तो पहले डीप जाके ये सोचना होगा कि वो कर क्यों रहा है.
इससे ना मुझे एक बात याद आ रही कि PTMs में कई बार क्या होता है बच्चे की जो अच्छी बातें होती है ना. So when a couple comes to attend a PTM, and you'll be laughing along that when you go and you see that when a teacher is praising a child, the mother is very happy. Yet at the same time when she pinpoints, she looks at the husband and says, "ये आपके लिए है." This is on the lighter note, but yes, I think it's a combination that both the parents have to put their ideas forward.
Absolutely.
And विचार धारा वाली जो आपने बात की, धारा बदलना तो फिर भी चलो एक चीज है, लेकिन विचार बदलने बहुत it takes something. And you have that responsibility also on your shoulders, not alone. It's a joint responsibility, but then a good one comes on your shoulders also. कि जो बच्चा मेरा सोच रहा है इसके पीछे, I think very valid point what you said was कि हर पीछे cause है. तो जो बच्चा कर रहा है, whatever he or she is doing, if you can make that effort to go behind, they say that there is much more than what meets the eye. जो आप देख रहे हो उसके पीछे कुछ है, तो वो समझना is very very crucial. And these points are coming to you, and I would want that इनका जूस बना के you should really put them to use, because that's where in the application the power lies. So that's yet another point. Now this is a very very powerful conversation going on, and I can't hold myself back to what I really want to ask you this. Every parent कहते हैं मेरा बच्चा ना आगे निकले. Now class is about 40 kids, 35, 40 roughly. That's what I have seen across India. So हर बच्चा चाह रहा है कि मेरा बच्चा जो है वो आगे निकले. Fair enough. But निकलेगा कैसे? कुछ तो करना पड़ेगा बच्चों को. या अपने आप तो वो आउटस्टैंडिंग के लिए तो बाहर खड़ा हो जाए क्लास के, तो वो और outstanding हो गया. But then for a child to be outstanding in the real sense of the word, what traits and what skills should they learn early? School life में.
Look, as far as competitive spirit is concerned, no doubt it is very relevant, very important, but there has to be an age.
Right.
You can't teach competition right from the birth.
True.
Unfortunately, people start comparison right from the day one. I have seen personally, when a new baby is born,
Yes.
people come और वो बच्चे को देखते बोलते हैं इसकी नाक तो दादाजी पे गई है, इसकी आंखें नानी पे गई हैं. Invariably, they are comparing. And they have started comparison from the day one, the day it is not needed. There is a time.
That's a deep point.
There is a time when you drill that competitive spirit in child for a second. जो मैंने महसूस किया है कि संसार में आपको ड्रिल करने की आवश्यकता भी नहीं पड़ती, संसार स्वयं कंपटीशन प्रोड्यूस कर देता है. बच्चों को चाइल्डहुड जी लेने देनी चाहिए. Many times people say ये कर नहीं रहा, ये नहीं कर रहा, ये बहुत मस्ती करता है, ये वैसे करता है, इसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम है, इसमें कोई ADHD है, ये है. I would say they are suffering from a disease called childhood. Let them be child, let them enjoy childhood. And yes, जैसे जैसे उसकी जिंदगी आगे बढ़ेगी, वहाँ हमें माइलस्टोन्स बनाने होंगे. बच्चों को कंपैरिजन से अच्छा है कि हम उनके माइलस्टोन स्वयं बनाएं. हम ये ना कहें मिस्टर शर्मा के बेटे के कितने नंबर आए तो तेरे क्यों नहीं. ये कंपटीशन बच्चे का नहीं, आपका है.
एक तो शर्मा जी ने बहुत तंग किया हुआ है. So all the Sharma Jis out there, don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. It's I have a neighbor with Sharma uncle, and actually on my left hand side, and a wonderful man. But then the point is that I love what you said. The day a child takes birth, वहीं से comparison हो जाता है. And I'll take this opportunity rather to say कि हम ये भी बोलते हैं, you know what, कि इसका बड़ा भाई तो 3.5 किलो का हुआ था, ये तो 3 का ही है.
सही बात है.
And वो तो लंबा था थोड़ा सा, ये तो छोटा है.
Right.
And I think I just reason what you
said.
said.
Deep into our psyche, it's deep into our consciousness. Parents come and say हम compare नहीं करते, लेकिन उनके नंबर ऐसे आए हैं 5 मिनट में बोलते हैं. I mean, relax. हर बच्चे की अपनी एक गति है, हर बच्चे की अपना एक इंटरेस्ट एरिया है. जो एक बच्चा कर सकता है वो दूसरा नहीं कर सकता. I have been in school education for more than 20 years now. और इतने सारे सालों में thousands of children we have seen. And we've seen thousands of parents as well. But all these children who were nightmare for parents ultimately become very dear for their parents. Analyze, in the long run, things will fall in place. लेकिन बच्चों की मदद करनी है, उनको छोड़ना नहीं है. उनकी हर चीज ऑब्जर्व करनी है, उनके साथ बैठना है, उनके साथ डिस्कस करना है. जब हम ये करते रहे तो हम उनकी भी बात समझेंगे. और हो सकता है जैसे आपने थोड़ी देर पहले कहा, मैंने क्या क्लियर किया, my father was not very happy at that point of time, but now when I look at him, he's a proud man.
And I'm sure nothing can replace the feeling that your father lives looking at you in what you do today.
तो ये जिंदगी बहुत लंबी है, इसको एक साल में समाप्त नहीं करना है.
विजन होना चाहिए.
Yes.
So वो जो हमारी शर्मा जी वाली बात हो रही थी, that's again on a lighter note, but then comparison has I've been for you it's been 2 decades, for me it's 1 decade, and other hand जो थोड़ा सा whatever I could study and understand, having dealt with teachers, kids and parents, comparison is one of the primary factors for a child's low self-esteem and low self-confidence. बहुत ज़्यादा comparison जो है majority of it comes across the lens. A lot of times they say that charity begins at home. I'll not refrain that from saying that even comparison begins at home, and that really has a bad.
It has a very negative influence on the child. It's like disrespecting him for what he has.
What he has. मुझे ना I had this I was listening to somebody and he gave a very good example and he said ऐसे इंटरव्यू चल रहा था he said why don't you show me a thumbs up. So मैंने कहा ठीक है कर देते हैं and he said your thumbprint will not match anybody else's thumbprint and so is the case with every child. So that was a very powerful message and exactly what you said कि हर बच्चा अलग है. And I keep on repeating this in my episodes. I am saying is one thing, fine, I am sharing that, but this is coming from educators who have seen thousands and thousands of kids. बहुत पास से देखा है. And we've seen teachers, they've dealt with them, and what happens is, I understand that you also go to the classrooms and you have conversations with the kids, and जब बच्चे अपनी दिल की बातें खोल के बताते हैं, what that comparison is killing me. उसकी भरपाई कौन करेगा? And I'm not against you. The whole idea is that we help you see कि हम कुछ गलतियां unconsciously कर रहे हैं. I know that there cannot be, nobody can have better intention than a parent. I can vouch for that. But वो intention होने के बावजूद भी कई बार ना action जो है intention positive है लेकिन action negative हो जाता है. But बच्चा intention शायद नहीं समझ पाता. The child is affected, gets impacted by the action that you take. So comparison वाली आपने जो बात उठाई, I think that's very very crucial. कोई और ऐसी चीज जो parents should take care of or final thought जो parents
I would say love your children. They deserve your love. That is the most important.
That's powerful.
They deserve your love. They don't deserve any other thing. Negative चीजों को छोड़ के थोड़ी देर बैठ के अगर उनको किसी एक चीज के लिए बोलो we are proud of you, तो 10 चीजें और ढूंढेंगे how can they make you proud. So express your love with them. I think that is one thing that we forget. हम प्यार करना या प्यार express करना भूल जाते हैं अपने बच्चों से. So एक चीज ढूंढो उसमें को बोलो we are proud of you.
That's very powerful, and I take this opportunity to share something on a personal note. My parents have, when I had my own share of struggles, working in the kitchen and doing stuff too. Nothing wrong with it, but then I never wanted to do that. And then, whatever iota, whatever minuscule iota I have been able to do, if I look back in retrospective, I see my parents have always stood there and they said, हो जाएगा, हो जाएगा, we are there, हो जाएगा, and this will be taken care of. And I feel that their unconditional support, the unconditional love has made a difference, and that's what is coming to you. That's coming your way. That love them. Because सारी ताने और comparison और hate. I know that you did not use the words, but then वही बात है ना कि cause क्या है पीछे. So I'm thinking of that. We'll have a lot of time for all of that, but then कहीं ऐसा ना हो कि time हाथ से निकल जाए. Robin Sharma said something that was very close to my heart. He said, your kids will only be young once. Love them as much as you can. And I think that's exactly coming from me. मुझे लगता है कि वो मैं किताब नहीं भी पढ़ता तो भी चल जाता. The message has come out. And now assuming that दुनिया के सारे बच्चे आपको देख रहे हैं. And all the kids in the world, all the youngsters are watching you. And what message would you want to give to the kids, to the kids across the world? Any message or to बच्चों के लिए?
बच्चों को तो मैं ये कहूँगा that we are living in a world where there are so many distractions. You should know how to distract the distractions. Distract the distraction.
Sometimes you use words and phrases to mother technical sochna पड़ता है कि did I get it right? So distract the distractions.
Yes.
So problem कोई
absolutely. Okay. See, how do we look at distraction? Distraction means that you already had a focus. You already were attracted to something.
Correct.
And then you have an alternate attraction.
Correct. I'm thinking of a brownie in my head.
And you have an alternate attraction.
Right.
When you get an alternate attraction,
Right.
you deviate from your main vision, main focus,
Correct.
and that's called distraction.
Right.
But if you know how to distract that distraction and remain focused on one thing that you have planned out, I am 100% sure that you're going to be successful.
I think that's a key message.
Because there is no distraction. I have
Single-mindedly focused.
Absolutely.
Yes.
तो अगर ये स्किल हम सीख गए कि किस प्रकार ये डिस्ट्रैक्शन को हटा सकता हूँ अपनी लाइफ से, बहुत सारी चीजें सेव की जा सकती हैं, बहुत सारे अनप्रोडक्टिव आवर्स बचाए जा सकते हैं, बहुत सारे नेगेटिव फीलिंग्स को छोड़ा जा सकता है. So this skill needs to be, I think, very important.
Kids, your ability to focus on one thing at a time.
Absolutely, because student has a synonym called disciple. Disciple comes from the word discipline. And if you say discipline, discipline means leaving all distractions aside and moving on a single path. That is called discipline. So as a student, it is my primemost responsibility to be focused. Ekagrachit. And if there are multiple chit, if your heart is in multiple places, you lost it.
Your conversation reminds me of that story when Arjun was being taught the art of archery, and there were other disciples, and Guru Dronacharya ended up asking that, what do you see? So while
Only I.
Only the eye. And I think that's so I think that's the message out there, and a single pointed focus. And in my case, if I'm going out for a brownie, I'll probably keep the ice cream away. Over distraction, and that consumes time, that consumes effort, and of course burns a hole in the pocket. That's
And eventually, when you did it by choice, you're going to feel more powerful.
That I set out on something and I did it.
Yes.
And it can be as simple as that.
Absolutely.
A brownie आपके लिए पता नहीं कितना fit हो रहा है. The context is something that you have really got it. And what a beautiful conversation, and lovely speaking to you. Thank you for your time, and really an honor and a pleasure. And would love to thank the audience, the teachers, the educators, everybody. And the way I want to conclude is that while you have sold a lot of gems, you've sold a lot of crucial points, and I know that शायद सारी चीजें आप implement नहीं कर पाओगे, but then if you can implement some of them, and that will make a difference, because they say that 1 degree when a rocket is out to launch, 1 degree changes the whole trajectory. So a slight degree of change in the way you are raising your kids will make a huge difference. And thank you for your time, thank you for your patience, and we are looking forward to your kids becoming very, very successful. And thank you once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure
for inviting.
Pleasure.